Hey guys, Andrew McFarlane here from StartAJuiceBar.com. Hope you guys are feeling amazing, happy, healthy, and inspired to start your business. So today we are talking about some things you need to know before you get into business with your friends or your family. I know a lot of you out there are walking into business partnerships. This could be with significant others, maybe longtime partners, fiancés, husband, wives, family, parents. I've seen the full spectrum of it, best friends, and I wanted to make this video to really give you some insight before you walk into these relationships and just share my personal experience with this. I personally, at one stage in my career of running these juice bar businesses, had both of my sisters working for me and learned a lot through that process, and so we're going to dive into that. But before we do, if you guys are new to the channel and you don't know what we do or who I am, for over the last 10 years, myself and our company has had the pleasure of supporting people like you launch and scale and grow juice bar concepts, smoothie bar concepts, acai bowl businesses, healthy plant-based cafes, and the like all around the world. There's been hundreds of people we've had the opportunity of helping. So all the information we're giving you on this channel comes from actual experience. So before we dive into this topic, this is also an invitation to press the like button if you've been liking the content. Go ahead and do that because that's going to expose this content to more people. So go ahead and press it. And without further ado, let's talk about it. So sometimes people want to know whether this is a good idea or it's a bad idea. Should I get into business with my family, one of my best friends, or should I actually stay away from it? And the truth is I like to kind of explain it this way. It's either the best idea or the worst idea, and it really depends on who you are and who the people are that you're working with. Because we all know that business can be something that brings people closer together. Obviously, if it's someone that you really care about and you trust, then that's a big benefit, because if you've had a lot of life experience with these people, you've hopefully learned how to communicate with them, move through challenges, and you guys have a mutual sense of trust, knowing that each one of you has the best interest of the other at heart. But on the other hand, if you feel like you're not really sure, you haven't really gone through a lot with this person, or maybe even if it's a family member and you have gone through a lot with this person, but you actually don't feel like this, your brother, your sister, whoever it is, has a great work ethic or is going to be consistent or trustworthy in a certain way, then it's going to be a bad idea, right? Just because you love somebody doesn't mean that you need to get into business with them. So this video today is really going to hopefully give you a good perspective, but also teach you a little bit more on how, if you are going to get into business with your family or friends, how to approach it. So I'll start with sharing also a story. There was a client very, very early on when I began consulting. There was a collective of partnership that came to me, a brother and a sister, so two siblings, and then one of their best friends. And early on, before I began working with them, I got the sense that they really didn't have clarity on who was meant to do what. They were all really great people, really nice people, coming from the right place. But oftentimes, that's not enough. You have to really have clarity on who's responsible for what aspect of the business, because something that comes up a lot in business partnerships, and this applies to whether you're working with your family or not, is a lot of times business partnerships fall apart because one individual in the partnership feels like they're doing too much and their percentage of ownership or how they're being compensated is not reflective of how much they're doing, and so they get resentful, and that creates this imbalance. Or there's this expectation for them to do something that they really feel like isn't part of their criteria and requirement for the role that they're in, and that begins to break things down. And so with this partnership that I was discussing, I had this feeling, it was very clear for me that they didn't have an understanding of who was meant to do what within the business. And so I told them early on, I said, you guys really want to have these conversations because this could be something that really makes your business fall apart. Long story short, needless to say, they didn't do that, and then they eventually went out of business for that and a number of other reasons, but really my feeling was primarily that was the reason. And so I really encourage you all, if you are moving forward with getting into business with a close friend, a family member, whatever it is, have the uncomfortable conversations up front. I know that it's difficult and you want to just assume that everything's mutually understood, but that doesn't work, okay? Because there will be things that come up that challenge that dynamic. And if you have spoken about it beforehand, you at least know how to address it. And those things are really having clarity on what the percentage of ownership is, right? I don't recommend you end up in a situation where family, friends, or otherwise, that there's 50-50 ownership, because there will come a point where maybe you don't agree with that person. And it's, once again, not a matter of someone being right or being wrong, or being good people or bad people. It's just the nature of human beings. Someone's going to say, oh, we should go with these bottles, and the other person says, we should go with those bottles. And you don't want to spend a ton of time talking about what bottles you're going to order because you have enough going on in your business. And so if this is the case, you might want to bring on maybe a board member, someone who you can give a very small percentage to, maybe who functions as a swing vote within your business, but something where you can create a little bit more diplomacy in the circumstance, so you have a system of how decisions are going to get made. That's the first thing. The second thing is who does what. Having clarity on the role and responsibility for each person in the business. That's going to take time to discuss. Lastly, how will you dissolve the partnership? What circumstances, and how do you deal with these things? Because the truth is that life is going to happen, and as difficult as it may be to address, people get sick, and it might not be you. It could be one of the family members. People die. Hopefully it's not you in any near time or in the near future, but what are you going to do in the event that something happens to you? How are you going to pass the equity of the business along? These are all things that people should talk about that they don't, unfortunately. So as part of being a mature entrepreneur, you have to have these conversations with your friends and family, and that's in the context of, let's say, that you're going to be partnering up with someone who's close to you. Another situation is maybe you might be in a circumstance where you hire a family member or a friend. How do you deal with this? As I mentioned early on, both of my sisters worked for me for actually quite a long time. My younger sister worked with me for years and years and years, and she was a great employee. But the truth is there was a period of time where she had certain responsibilities, managing social media or doing other things that she wasn't fulfilling. And so I had to have a conversation with her. I had to fire her from that role. I kept her in another role. But for me, sometimes people believe that because someone's your family member, that they can get away with doing things that a normal employee would never get away with, right? And to me, I feel like it's not a reflection of how you love someone, because you can't compromise your business for really anything. It's one thing to do someone a favor and to acknowledge that and support the people around you, but you have to know that people have to also meet you halfway. If you're going to support someone, and it could be a cousin or anyone else, they have to also show up. If you're giving someone an opportunity, and this is my personal philosophy, you might have your own philosophy, but I feel like if there's people around me that I love, they need to also show up in a loving way and in a professional way. And sometimes they'll be able to do that in some areas, and sometimes they might not. And if they don't, do you feel close enough to be able to have a conversation with them and say, hey, this is what's going on, and I need to do what's mature for the business? Doesn't mean I don't love you, right? But it means that the dynamic might change. And so that is my invitation. Don't ever hire someone you can't fire, because that's going to create problems, and you may grow to resent that person. Or you may grow to just find that they might break your business down, and you allow that to happen, which I feel like there's a lot more at stake, right? The health of your community, the health of your staff, the health of your family as well, your financial resources, your legacy. So a lot of times being an entrepreneur is about seeing the bigger picture. And there's a multitude of relationships that you have to manage, and that's not always easy. So I hope that this brings you more insight. The last thing that I'll say is that within all of this, and I know I've been focusing a lot on the challenges, but for me, it was really beautiful. Working with my sisters was amazing, and I was able to speak to them up front and say, hey, here are my reservations. If this doesn't work, we just got to be aware. Here are my expectations. Know that it may not be easy working for me. I don't want this to get in between our relationship, and if it does, let's talk about it. And I feel grateful that I have a family that we can have difficult conversations with, but we all know where the love is coming from. And so if you don't feel like you have this, be honest about it, right? Be clear. And if you do have this, then more power to you, because it can be really beautiful. Because one of my greatest joys is, and has been, being able to walk into the juice bar and see my sisters in there, and us having fun with the customers and supporting one another, me being able to support their growth. Very, very, very beautiful, very fulfilling. So it can be. So like I said in the beginning, it's not a definite yes or a definite no. You have to take inventory to be honest with how well you know the people around you. How do you truly feel about their work ethic? Because it's not a reflection of who they are, but how they work. So that's all I'm going to say on this today. If you guys have more questions about this, or you want to talk about how we can support you with any other aspect of your business, reach out to me personally at Andrew@StartAJuiceBar.com. If you guys haven't pressed the like button yet, why haven't you pressed the like button yet? Press the like button. And then also subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can get alerted anytime we release new content. Lastly, we have a podcast on iTunes and on Spotify at the Juice Bar Experts. Easy to find us there. And then follow us on Instagram at StartAJuiceBar. You can direct message me there as well. We release content on Instagram every single day just to keep you in the realm of one, pursuing your business, but just giving you little tips and tricks and things that you can benefit from that'll stay top of mind to make sure you're moving in the right direction. So that's all for now. This is Andrew McFarland with StartAJuiceBar.com. I'll see you guys at the next one. I hope you guys have been enjoying all of the content. If you're in a place where you are really inspired to start your juice business, but you're not exactly sure what the next steps are, for you, we've created a free ebook, The 15 Steps to Starting Your Juice Business from Scratch. This is going to give you an overview of everything that you need to do from just having a concept all the way to launching your business. Beyond that, if you're inspired to go even deeper, we've created an online course, the Juice Bar Master Blueprint, that is going to go into great detail into every single area of launching a successful juice business. There's links for both of these in the description below. I know you'll find a lot of value out of them. As always, wishing you guys a lot of success, and I'll see you at the next video.